Okay, here we go. Good morning, everybody. So nice to see so many faces in the room. So it is official. We are going to be in classroom D moving forward. I'm told all year. Hopefully, we should have it secured. So it really feels, yeah, it feels official, right? I mean, CSV is convenient, but this feels like home to me. So welcome everybody. I hope you had a wonderful summer. And of course, as is our tradition, we're going to get started with kick off our grand rounds just to give you a little update on what's been going on within the department, both from across all the care pillars, and hopefully leave time for questions. So we've kept it a bit brief this time, and I'd really like to try and see if we can leave some time for questions. So before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are located on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to enrich our vibrant communities. So this morning, we will give you a little update. There's been a lot of changes in terms of our departmental structure as we finally come in line with, the old SET initiative, which was supposedly sunset, but we still had as a result, had to do some restructuring. And then, of course, we've had some internal challenges within the department. So we'll go through all of that. And outline some of those challenges and opportunities that we are facing across the care pillars. Those in the room, I think, are well aware of them, but just so we're all on the same page. And then just briefly touch on some of the plans we have for developing our priorities. So as usual, it's a good time of year to just, as a reminder for us, this is all on the website, but just to remind us of our mission and vision and values, which we, of course, reinforced and reiterated when we did our strategic plan about a year and a half ago. So, of course, our mission is to improve the health and healthcare of current and future generations through excellence and innovation in what we do, which is education, research, and clinical care. And to be recognized for our innovative education, research, and clinical care, resulting in better health and healthcare locally and globally. And we really did take this to heart and talked about it a lot when we did our strategic plan a year and a half ago. That just still resonated very well with us. This whole thing about global, I do think that the world needs a little more Canada, as I keep saying, and so it's important to have those I guess touch points, if you will. And as I've gone through and met with people for their annual reviews, it's really I think really liberating or very nice to see that we really do have quite a global impact. And then, of course, these are our values. So we continue to work on leadership and developing leadership at local, regional, national, and global levels. And again, annual reviews as intense as they are in terms of the 6-week period when I'm meeting with everybody, it's really invigorating to see the work that people across the department are doing that, otherwise we wouldn't get to hear about. So more on that in terms of how we spread that. Integrity, respect, and caring, of course, as being the hallmark of all our interactions. Collaboration, collegiality, and teamwork in our approach to teaching, research, and patient care. And again, when you hear about what our plans are, especially and what we've been able to accomplish with our strategic plan, we have, I think, moved ahead on this particular area. And then, of course, partnerships, both within the institution as well as focusing on outside the institution more. And then transparency and public accountability. And those who know me know that this is very important to me. Evaluation, and then, of course, continuous improvement in everything that we do. So you'll hear more about that as we go through this. So let's just start off with our team. So, of course, I did renew my second term in April this past year. So signed up for another 5 years. And then, of course, we have our department manager, Francois Bowman, and our manager for our AMHSP and overall on the AHS side is Fatima. And we really do have a great partnership. And I, keep reminding people that we're a team. It doesn't matter where we get paid or how we get paid, that we all work together to make sure that our departmental vision and mission moves forward. So this is the chair's sort of immediate leadership team, and you'll see some new faces there. So Vijay continues on in his role as education and faculty development lead. And then we've made some changes in our research office. So Gopi Sutendra, who you all know, was our co-director of graduate studies, has actually taken on the role of co-associate chair for research and is taking on more and more of those activities as Evangelos has taken on other activities across the faculty. So really delighted. He's been in this position since the summer and has really taken a bunch of things on, and you'll hear more from him later. And then I call him my Swiss Army knife, Jacques Romney. He is the person that I go to whenever I need help in various areas. He's not here right now, but it says academic affairs, but he's actually finance. It's a typo. So he looks after everything to do with our finances, helps with sort of, managing the budget and various initiatives that we've taken on. But I've asked him for help in other areas as well, as many of you know. So he's been a real source of support for me. And then Nancy has taken on, she's a hematologist. Most of you will know her. When Elaine Yakishin moved to the faculty office, Nancy took on the role of deputy department head. And I've always felt in every area that it's important to have individuals that are complementary to your own skills and abilities. And so, of course, I do a lot of inpatient medicine, and I feel like pretty confident in terms of, having a bit of an idea of how to deal with inpatient. But Nancy's strengths are really in ambulatory. And so she has really been instrumental in leading that forward as we've had some challenges with the restructuring of AHS and what that looks like. And Nancy's been a great partner for me and representing our needs as specialty ambulatory services. And you'll notice some new faces here as well. So it's really interesting, every year to year, how you just never know what's going to come up next in terms of what people's needs and requirements are. So we have had some new faces here joining us. So you'll notice Nija Bakshi has taken over as zone section chief for general internal medicine. It's one of the only areas we have where we've actually separated out the division director and the section chief role. And so Jennifer Ringrose kindly served in the interim role. Our former section chief, of course, is the incoming Alberta Medical Association president, so he had to give that position up. And so Nisha has taken on that role after a successful search and selection process. And then currently we have Jacques Romney acting as interim division director and section chief for nephrology, but more news to come on that. And then you'll see a new face there, which is Dr. Denise Richardson. I'm delighted she joined us on April 1st. Many of you probably already met her. She originally trained in Toronto and was recently the department head for PM&R at Queen's University. So has taken on the role of division director and section chief for us in PM&R. So I'm delighted about that. We do have some ongoing search and selections. Well, first of all, I need to thank all of these folks. So of course I mentioned Jennifer Ringrose, and I forgot. I guess since the last time we had this, Stephanie Smith took over as division director and section chief for infectious diseases. And so just need to thank Karen Doucette, who served in that role for almost 2 terms. So thank her. She continues in her role as section chief for transplant medicine, though. And then, of course, I mentioned Elaine, who's now taken a faculty role as associate dean for faculty affairs. And really sincere thank you to Jacqueline Hibert and Heather Lindstrom, because they served in the role of PM&R section chief and division director for quite some time, because that search and selection took us a long time to complete. So I really want to sincerely thank them for that. And so we do have a new division director, section chief, starting with us in January of 2026. We're finalizing. We do have signatures on papers and things like that, but stay tuned for some announcements for that. So delighted about that. And then we have 3 ongoing searches. So the first one is in dermatology, as Dr. Niedecke comes to the end of his 2nd term. And then in geriatric medicine, we've got Adrian Wegg completing his 3rd term, actually. And then unfortunately, Dr. Stephen Cates, who just recently took on the role of DD section chief in rheumatology, is moving out of the province and for family reasons. And so we are going to be initiating a search for that position. And within the next couple of weeks, we will announce who the interim lead is going to be in rheumatology. So lots happening, keeps our office busy. Okay, and then our directors. And again, you know, a department this large really could not function with all of our leaders. So I've already mentioned the associate chairs, the division directors, section chiefs. So these are our director of programs. So we have our undergraduate director, Rebecca Lee, and you'll hear about all the changes that have happened in the undergraduate program. So thank her and her committee for taking those on. Here's a carpenter. She really does have a massive weight on her shoulders with the largest specialty training program in the institution in internal medicine, and more to come on that. And then Nadia has kindly agreed to take on continue the graduate studies role, but take a larger role in it, obviously, with Gopi moving over as associate chair for research. And Cecile Fan is continuing in her role with fellowship programs. She's going to take a more significant role as she helps programs. There's at least a couple of programs that I'm aware of that are going to be applying for AFC recognition. So, which is a great thing. That's what we want our institution to be doing. And then Dr. Fraulein Morales continues in her role as lead for clinical faculty. And then we have Lindsay Bridgeland, who has taken on who continues in her role with the new name, Access, Community and Belonging. And if you don't already know, in our newsletter, she actually puts out a little message every month. And so keep an eye out for it, just to open up our minds to various issues around EDI and so on. And then a couple of new positions. So still to be announced, we're just discussing it. There will be internal within the department wellness officer. Again, this was identified from our strategic plan to improve internal engagement and internal sort of collaborations and wellness and so on. And then most recently, Lenora Saxinger has taken on the role of scientific communications and external engagement. And again, more to come on that, but there is a Department of Medicine Community Day, I guess is what we're calling it, that's going to take place in November, and there'll be more announcements about that coming up, but the division director should know. So that is our directors, and then of course our site chiefs. We rely on these folks to deliver our clinical mission across the zone. So Tracy Bryan, sorry, again, typo, that shouldn't be interim. She's actually the permanent Grey Nuns Community Hospital lead. Dan Slavu at the Misericordia, Winnie Sia at the Royal Alec, Hernando at the Sturgeon, and Fraulein Morales at the university site. So these people really do a lot of the heavy lifting. And I guess when we talk about the clinical updates, we'll talk about the restructuring and where everything fits in as far as we're aware. All right, so I would be remiss if I did not mention this committee, because I really do rely on them. So this is our Academic Medicine and Health Services Program Management Committee. So we have the largest AMHSP arrangement, with over $70 million budget. And the decisions that we need to take on really can't happen in isolation. So we really rely on these folks who help us sort of navigate the various policies and procedures of the AMHSP and how to apply them and so on. So on behalf of all of us, I want to thank them for helping us navigate all of that. And there is an AMHSP AGM coming up early October. The date has been released, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. October 7th or something, yeah. And so please make sure that you tune in. It is hybrid, but it's always nice to see faces. And I'm sure Andrea will have some cookies or something for us. The pressure is on. We do need, I think we have 3 positions. 2 are up for reappointment and 1 new position open. So it would be nice to have cross-divisional representation. And so there will be a call going out, but if you don't see somebody from your division on this page, then think about nominating somebody or nudging somebody to come forward. I was speaking to one of the members and they said it really is a steep learning curve in terms of how the AMHSP functions. And I really rely on these folks, not only just to help us make decisions, but also to disseminate how complicated the AMHSP is. And things really aren't as simple as you would think. So more to come on that at the AGM. All right. And then, of course, it's the people that make sure we get our day-to-day functions happening. So this is our senior management team. And I know Francois is going to talk about them in a little bit more detail, but just very quickly, of course, we've got Rayanne, who looks after pretty much everything. I don't know, Rayanne, is there anything you don't look after? And then Christine, who sort of oversees the HR and finance part of things. And then, of course, this past year, we celebrated Doris Kurtz's retirement. And so I'm delighted that Jen Stanlin has taken over from Doris and is slowly learning the ropes and really trying to fill some very big shoes, but is doing a great job. And then, of course, we've got Andrea, who looks after all of the internal engagement and events programs. And Eleni continues in the research office. And then you'll see a few new faces here. Well, first of all, let me just say Margot, who is our finance partner, and Kendra continues as our HR partner. Anything to do with money, I go to Margot. So a few new faces otherwise. So you all remember Ashley Bosch, who was my EA. She has moved to the role of academic staff compliance. So she's basically going to be helping us. She is helping us with recruitments and so on. But of course, she's on maternity leave. And Leanne has kindly agreed. I saw Leanne somewhere, yeah, has kindly filling in for Ashley for the year that she's on maternity leave. And then my new EA, of course, is Andrea. I'm sure some of you have met her as you've come through the office. And then we've got a new hire. So what we did was, you'll recall, we had 2 roles of sort of academic work with Orlean and Gloria in the office, but it really was quite a bit for such a large department. So we basically split it up into 3 positions. And so one of those new positions was taken by Caitlin Hogg, who came to us from surgery. Started August-ish. And so her official title is Clinical Academic Staff Compliance Specialist. So she's going to help us with all of the clinical faculty and making sure all the academic appointments and promotions and all of that are in place. And then, of course, Gloria, you're all aware of, was our academic development officer, but Gloria has been away on medical leave. And so there will be that position that will be sort of filled in an interim position, depending on what happens with Gloria. So that's our team. And before I go to that slide, actually, just want you to be aware of what the department does. It's hard enough. I mean, when I hear other departments talking about how much work that recruitment was and so on, this is the work that we have done over the past year. So we have hired 12 AMHSP academic faculty, which is a lot, considering that the university is frozen for academic hires, I think we've been in a very positive position. And the great news is the majority of those are in the assistant professor level. You've probably seen charts of this inverted triangle of our academic faculty, sort of, with the vast majority being professor, fewer associate professors, and then even fewer assistant professors. So this makes me really proud that we have the proper triangle when it comes to recruitments. And many of you have helped us identify these individuals, particularly the division directors, but even across the department. So thank you for the mentors. Thank you to all of you who help us make sure that these recruitments are set up for success. And then on the clinical side, clinical AMHSP side, we've actually hired 10 individuals. And again, this is a pretty big deal given that, the university has frozen all hiring. We actually managed to hire one PhD scientist. So that is a pretty big deal. It was very innovative how we came up with the funding for this. So before you all come running to me and say, we need more, it's very difficult right now in this institution. Hopefully there will be opportunities and things will open up, but we had to be very, very strategic in terms of how we put this together. And then, of course, in terms of clinical faculty, we hired 18 at the clinical lecturer level and one assistant clinical professor, and then of course all our locums and other physicians that help us look after our large volume of patients, both on the inpatient and ambulatory and community side. So altogether 63 hires, which is massive. I think Leanne will speak to that in her role, and Caitlin and others. It has been a busy year. So, so this slide, I didn't go through specifically the promotions and highlights, but just to put in a plug that we do every year have a Department of Medicine celebration dinner in June, and that's when we celebrate all of our promotees, our award winners, and it's really a great event. So if you I think we're trying more and more to open it up a little bit. So stay tuned. Next spring, I guess we'll start advertising for that. So I'm going to hand it over to Francois, just so I get a minute to take a breath, and he's going to talk about some administrative updates.
So good morning, everyone. I'm Francois Bowman, the Academic Department Manager for Medicine, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning to provide you with some updates with respect to the significant changes within administrative services. So this is our current org chart. It's changed quite significantly. Dr. Kassam did go through the various individuals in the leadership roles. And I'm not going to go through the various individuals again, but I just wanted to apologize about some of the titles. Based on SET, we're not allowed to use the terms HR, finance, and other items, so we had to be creative in the naming of positions. So I do apologize about that. So last year, we completed the initial phase of the departmental restructure with the realignment of the various services with the streams within the SET initiative. These changes were made with the understanding that with the U of A's Continuous Administrative Services Improvement Program, or CASIP, that changes would continue to alter how services were provided, whether they would be provided centrally or at the department level. At this time, CASIP is still slowly but surely working through their numerous initiatives. Usually they have about 70 or 80 going at a time. So stay tuned for information about any changes centrally. Additionally, last year, we had identified certain pressure points that we are now addressing through further restructuring. The key area here has been the academic HR support that Dr. Kassam mentioned, where Orlean and Gloria were pretty much both struggling to keep their head above water just because of the volumes that Dr. Kassam had shown previously. that pressure point was exacerbated when we had a departure and when Gloria left. So that provided us with an opportunity to look at the structure of the area. And what we decided to do was pull out all the clinical work that both Gloria and Orlean had been doing and create the new position that Caitlin is now in. So we have those new positions in terms of the academic staff compliance specialist, the clinical academic staff compliance specialist, the academic development officer. And then I would be remiss to leave out Andrea as well in terms of being the EA chair, dealing with all of the FAR reports and dealing with supporting the academic HR area as well. So with respect to this, all this information is now available on the department's website. So if you want to go there, just click onto the chair's office and this information will be provided there. So this basically is a very simple and basic overview of who is responsible for what when it comes to the academic HR pieces now. So very clearly, Leanne is involved with the academic faculty of the AMHSP, their promotions, not their promotion, sorry, their recruitment and workforce planning. Caitlin is responsible for the clinical annual reports, clinical recruitment, and clinical promotions. And then as we move on, Gloria, who is on leave, I will note that her generic email address is being monitored. And so we are trying to respond as best as possible. But again, that's additional work that individuals are currently undertaking. Orientation, third-year review, mentorship programs, academic learning series, and then based on the restructuring, we are hoping that there's more capacity to deal with ACB as well. And then, of course, Andrea, as I mentioned, in terms of the support for all of the areas and even occasionally backfilling, which has been absolutely fantastic. So I would like to note, and based on all of the work and how difficult it has been this year, I just really do want to thank Leanne, Shell, Andrea Hashi, and Caitlin for all of their extraordinary work over this time, because without them, more things might have fallen through the cracks than may have as we went through. So thank you so much. Kudos to you. With respect to this, because there have been so many changes, we're going to be holding sessions in the deck. So the deck is on the 8th floor in CSB. These sessions are going to allow a speed dating type situation where if you have questions about the services that are available through the administrative services areas, you can come down. There'll be representatives from each of the areas that you can ask questions of. And if we don't know the answer at this time, we will certainly write it down and get back to you in order to ensure that you have the information that you need as to where to go and when. So there'll be 3 sessions. They're at different times during the day just to try and accommodate individuals' different schedules. And please do come down. Again, there will probably be coffee and cookies. And in addition, if you need a new headshot for your faculty page or for any publications or anything of that nature, there will be a booth available there as well for you to get a new headshot for that. So this is not really sure. I can't speak for the Board of Governors of the university, and I certainly can't speak for ASUA either, but we have been receiving several questions with respect to the possibility of a job action. So with respect to that, I will just say that what you might want to expect, best guess from my perspective, is that you're likely, if there is a job action, that you will not have access to your University of Alberta email. It will be blocked off. So if you have information coming from your investment advisor or your retirement planner or other individuals of that nature, what you should be doing potentially is providing them with an alternate email for them to use to get in touch with you. The other thing that I would say is that based on the emails being locked, you will not be able to forward anything because you won't be receiving anything. So you won't be able to go in or out. It'll just be closed off completely, and alternate sources or alternate emails would likely be required. So with respect to research, clinical research, if it's conducted as part of your responsibilities with AHS, are likely to be able to continue as long as it's not using university academic staff. So the non-academic staff have settled, so the non-academic staff will still be here doing work. But if you have TRAS individuals in research, those individuals would also be impacted by a potential academic job action. In terms of academic research on the university side, there was an intake and a request for information for essential services that was done much earlier in the year. If that information was provided, reviewed, and approved by Central University, then that can continue. Otherwise, everything else in terms of your academic work would discontinue. So again, not really prepared to take many questions on this because most of it is kind of making some assumptions on what could occur in a job action. And again, not speaking on behalf of either the university or the association. Finally, the last thing that I just wanted to mention for those individuals, especially now that FAR is in place, is coming into CSB. So we have locked down the elevators in the clinical sciences building from floors 3 to 13. You must have your one card to be able to access any of those floors. And this was completed for security reasons. If you are having issues with your one card in terms of being able to access those floors in the clinical sciences building, please contact Alan Matthew at Don Pasil at ualberta.ca. And then the only other thing that I wanted to mention on this is that I've gotten a number of questions about, oh, if somebody comes into the elevator with me that I don't feel comfortable with or should not be there, what should I do? So by the elevator, in many, there's these tip sheets. So just have a quick review of these tip sheets. And it provides some steps of items that you can undertake to be, I guess, a bit more safe. The thing that I would say, though, first and foremost, is make sure that your safety comes first. Do not be confrontational. Be polite, kind. If you feel so uncomfortable with an individual in the elevator, step out. Simply step out and avoid the situation completely. And other people are a little bit more outgoing and friendly, and they talk to people and they manage to convince them to move away or that they're in the wrong place or whatever the case might be. But fundamentally, first and foremost, it's your safety. Make sure that you are safe, make sure that you are comfortable, and then do what you feel you need to do. All right. So with that, I will hand it over for educational update.
Thank you. So normally VJ would do this, but he is, I believe, at the Royal College. So I'll just give a quick overview. Thank you to Rebecca, Tirza, for sharing these slides. Just a few things for those who don't know. There have been some changes in our undergrad medicine experiences. So although the learning objectives and evaluations are the same, the format has changed. And that was predominantly initiated because of the changes at the Grey Nuns. So for those who don't know, there's no longer in-house coverage by learners at the Grey Nuns as of July 1st, just because of various reasons. So they do have in-house support with physician assistants, but not learners. But we think the Grey Nuns is a very important community experience. So we wanted to figure out a way for our learners to continue to have that experience. And so now within that 8-week rotation, our students go do 4 weeks either at the university or the Royal Alec, where they will do overnight call as usual. And then they do 4 weeks at a preceptor-led team. So the preceptor-led teams could be at the Grey Nuns, at the Alec, or at the university. As you know, university and the ALEC have had to expand significantly. And so they have a number of preceptor-led teams. So these have been sort of engaged in ensuring that our learners get at least a similar experience across the board. And so when they're on that experience, they don't do overnight call, but they do stay in the evenings 4 times, at least once a week, for the 4 weeks, doing emergency consults and so on. So that's a big change for us. And then there was also a change in the year 4 curriculum. This was initiated by the faculty. So instead of doing 4 weeks completely, well, they used to have more than 4 weeks. It's been reduced to 4 weeks. They have now more time to do electives, just because of all the challenges around CARMS and so on, to help facilitate for the residents, for the students to be able to go away for their electives. So within that 4 weeks, there is also a pilot program happening with anesthesia and critical care. So they will have a 2-week rotation within that 4 weeks of either anesthesia or critical care, and the other 2 weeks will be a subspecialty in internal medicine rotation. So quite a bit of change there. And then there's also the ability to have an experience in Red Deer. So that's new. We'll be keeping it, monitoring it closely. Of course, we have a number of colleagues in Red Deer that practice there, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So we'll see how that goes. They've also started to really sort of provide a structured framework for EPAs for students. So yes, EPAs are there for students as well, and they're required to complete a certain number for each clerkship. So Rebecca wanted me to remind the faculty that it's really important to provide that specific constructive comments so that students can sort of, reflect on it, and it helps them continue to grow. And she wanted me to take this opportunity to thank you all for all the help and commitment to teaching our medical students. And then on the postgraduate side, it's a big year for postgraduate. For those who haven't heard already, we're going to be going through Royal College accreditation in November of this year, which is a big deal. It comes around every 7 to 8 years. Again, the dates have been announced, November 24th to 26th. I'm sure at 27th rather. I'm sure at your divisional meetings this will be discussed, because it is a very big deal. And it's a quality improvement exercise, so just keep that in mind. It ensures that all the programs across the country are delivering at least similar experiences. It'll be all training programs. The core internal medicine program is going through 3 days. So most programs are one to 2 days. We of course have a number of primary entry programs, including core internal medicine, which is the largest. And then we have, of course, dermatology, PM&R, neurology, and there's a 5th one that I always forget. And then all our subspecialty programs, and then of course the AFCs that are recognized. So just keep in mind, not all fellowships are Royal College recognized. We have within our department 3 or 4, including things like solid organ transplant, which is new. We have a couple in cardiology and so on. As I said, we're working on some new ones, but so far those are the ones that are in place and will be reviewed. And so the program directors have been really busy. And so please, they will be asking you to take some tasks on, including reviewing objectives and things like that, and likely preparing you for when you meet with the reviewers. So what we need from our faculty is to ensure that you are familiar with the program, to be available for accreditation meetings. It's really important. The worst thing that can happen is the reviewers come and there's only 1 or 2 faculty members around. So please make sure that you know the dates and you cordon off. It's, I think, usually an hour or 30 minutes that they will meet with you, and just help the program, support the program directors through this. They really have put in a lot of work. And then if you have any questions, obviously go to your MEPC or Tirza's happy to help as well. CBD continues. There's still programs being rolled out. Just this past year, we had, I believe, ID and occupational medicine is in the books for the future, but public health, that's who it was. So there's a bunch of things happening, particularly in the core internal medicine program. It's been recognized that the EPAs are quite burdensome. Surprise, surprise. There are some changes afoot. There's been some proposals made. I'm not going to share any details with you, but just you can anticipate that there are some changes coming. And so I'll leave it at that. For the positive, I should say. And then lastly, again, Tirza wanted me to take this opportunity to thank you all on behalf of our residents for everything that you do. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Gopi.
Okay, so I'll just give us an update on our research from our research office and some of the research excellence that we've had in the last academic year. So once again, our department, my mouse shows up. No, it doesn't. So our department leads the faculty in acquiring tri-council funding. So this is predominantly CIHRs, you'll see on the top with the dark green. And this is thousands by thousands. So this is in the magnitude of about 70 million or so. And we also have a large number of our faculty members have acquired insert funding as well. So really this is, and you'll see the outputs from getting such good tri-council research funding as well, but definitely our department within the faculty leads in this area. In order to continue this, Narmin initiated with Evangelos the DOM Translational Research Implementation Fund. And so really this fund is meant for seed funding to go into really novel research programs. And I'll go over the criteria in the next slide that will hopefully result in tri-council funding in the future. So we're going to really see how this works. In terms of acquiring tri-council funding in the future, it's really in its infancy. We've so far had 3 competitions, and in our most recent competition, we've had 3 competitions in which we've given out over 230,000 over the last 3 years. And in the last competition, we had 17 applications, and our recipients are shown here. Dr. Vliegoftis from pulmonary medicine, Dr. Bram from nephrology, and Dr. Thompson from nephrology as well are recipients this year. So congratulations to them, and we look forward to seeing the progress from these funded projects. So for those of you who are interested in submitting it for the next competition, which will there'll be a call, usually in May or so, June of 2026. Really what we're looking for, and I'll show the review panels, who's on the review panels, but we're really looking for really novel projects. So we want these projects to have a chance for CIHR and CIRC or tri-council funding. So novelty is the #1 criteria that we look for. And then of course, feasibility. And we do take into consideration your career stage. So if you're an early career investigator, you do get an extra point. And in the previous one, Stephanie Thompson was one of our early career researchers. And so we really want to promote our early career researchers to really apply to these grants if you think you have a novel idea that could become a CIHR grant in the near future. So at the same time, we do a DOM CIHR internal review. And this is really in combination with the faculty. And so to give us the best chance of maintaining and still getting CIHR funding, we ask that you submit your CIHR grant to us. The deadlines are well in advance of the actual deadline for CIHR. We get appropriate reviewers with expertise in your area. They'll review your grants, provide you feedback. And we also progress and we track this down to see how beneficial these internal reviews are. So far, we got 7, and we actually stagger them between the FOMD and ours, just because we have different strategy in terms of how we evaluate the grants. So we really think that this is beneficial for those of you applying. Once again, if you do apply to this, it is mandatory for some of the bridge funding that you get. So if you just missed out on your CIHR funding and you had a high score, this is required for some of the bridge funding you get in some of the institutes, and then also with the FOMD bridge funding grants that they provide as well. And this is our DOM College of Reviewers. It's a significant list here. You can see we rely on our reviewers. We thank them deeply. We rely on them for our TRIF funds, for reviewing just any of our applications. They're all usually have reviewed at some of our national agencies, CIHR, Heart and Stroke, NSERC, and have obtained funding from these agencies as well. So they have a lot of expertise in the area. And so we've revamped, the research team has revamped our DOM research website. So please visit it. If you have any questions, if you have any inquiries, we've tried to make it really user friendly. So you click on whichever areas you have questions on, and it will provide you information or links to the appropriate venues that will answer your questions. If not, they all provide contact informations as well, so you know the appropriate people to contact within there. So please visit the research website, and we'll also really, we'll take feedback from you guys. If there's ways to improve it, we can also revamp it that way. If you have any questions for research support, a lot of your contact information is here. For example, for the DPS and for things like Canadian Common CV support or signatures, you can contact our divisional program support team. The contact information is here. If you have more specialized support that you require, we also have our administrative team here, Rand Barkhouse, and of course our DOM research office is happy to take in any inquiries you may have, led by Eleni, and any large-scale grants. Evangelos has a lot of expertise and information on that can provide for you all. We're just gonna, in the next couple slides, I just want to highlight some of the significant contributions made by some of our faculty members and our training program, so our graduate and postgraduate training program. Really, we had a lot of excellent publications published by our department this year. We just only picked a few just to show the breadth of our research program. So it goes from basic science to clinical research. For example, some of our, Dr. Halloran just published earlier this year in Nature Medicine, very important study on antibody-mediated rejection and kidney transplant. And we've had by Joel Dax in Nature Microbiology on evolution and GTPases involved in eukaryotic organelle dynamics. So how the organelles evolve and in different species during evolution. Another clinical one here by I'm not going to say this correctly, Maximowicz in the Lancet Rheumatology. Dr. Hunson, thank you, as well, in inflammatory disease. We had a very collaborative study in cardiotoxicity and molecular work, and one from Dr. Myers Stevenson from comparative structural insights of X protein across species and lost pH3-like domain. This is an evolutionary study, studied carcinoma in birds. So you could just see the breadth of all of the research done within our department. And this just highlights just a few. So I did discuss the Tri-Council funding, but we also have some huge collaborative research grants and that fit within our strategic priorities of artificial intelligence, clinical research, aging and genomics. And this just highlights two. So one from Dr. Vivian Michelwa New Frontiers in Research Fund, 24 million, and one from Glenn Jickling for genomics of in Genome Canada, studying genomics of stroke and cerebrovascular disease. So really, just some outstanding research accomplishments from funding acquisition, publications, and team grants within the department. And finally, I just want to disclose, we have the largest training program in the faculty. Our graduate program and postdoctoral training program is by far the largest. We have 150 or close to 150 graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. A lot of departments have difficulty recruiting students and postdoctoral fellows, and we've definitely excelled in this. And not only have we excelled in recruiting them, our graduate students and the postdoctoral fellows, are highly recognized nationally with major awards. These are just a few awards received by our graduate students, and their supervisors are listed here as well, and along with postdoctoral fellows. So, we really just have a really good training program, and that has to do with the faculty members that take on this training of our research training. So we hope to continue that in the future, but we thank you for that as well. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Gopi. Yeah, just to emphasize, this is just a small picture of the research accomplishments. I know we're running short on time, so I'm going to go through this very, very quickly. So first of all, in terms of the clinical updates, we continue to have our quality council that was started, I guess, way back, I don't know, it's almost 10 years, coming to 10 years. And so just want to take this opportunity to thank Pam Mathura for leading this, and then Jen Woods, who's the AHS sponsor. And I saw her here earlier, so no, I thought I saw her. Yeah. And so these are some of the activities they're taking on, lots and lots of learner activities. So if you have individuals that are interested in QI, please have them reach out to Pam. There's a lot of work happening. I won't go through it all, but suffice it to say that there is definitely academic presence within the quality mandate, including publications, posters, abstracts, and then it all culminates with our research and quality improvement day that we do every year, of course. And then ambulatory. So lots happening here. Nancy has been very busy this past summer. And so she's keeping the division directors updated. So hopefully you get a chance to get updates from them. But there's work happening with optimizing KC clinic usage. I think anyone who's in the KC knows that there's a lot of opportunity for that. Articulating roles a little bit better, and then looking at a zonal approach. I mean, do all clinics need to happen at KC? There are spaces across the Edmonton zone that can very much accommodate general clinics. So that's being looked at, which I think is long, long overdue. And then I mentioned the Meetu Majumdar Research and QI Day that we had. We had an outstanding speaker from Toronto this past year. And this upcoming year, we've already secured Phil Wells is going to be actually our research mentor that's coming for this upcoming research day. So just found that out. And then just very quickly, again, just site updates at the Grey Nuns. I mentioned the massive change that happened as of July 1st. They still have 4 teams that are dedicated teaching teams, but the structure is different. So they provide services until midnight in-house. And then after that, it's the physician assistants that take over from there from 10 o'clock or so. And yeah. And then at the Royal Alec, I think the big message at the Alec and the university is expansion. They've had to expand to multiple non-teaching teams as their numbers continue to rise. And so in spite of all of that, they're continuing QI efforts. The Alec has taken on, they celebrated their recent anniversary as well. So lots happening at the Alec. And then Sturgeon has currently, they've introduced ED consult team as well. So once again, and there's a new sim lab that's opened at the Sturgeon, if you hadn't heard. So more on that in terms of how to access that at our ZDEC. And then, of course, the university site, which has, once again, lots happening. The one thing Fraulein wanted me to mention is, in case you hadn't heard, we now have an acute care addiction recovery program at the university site. So there was one, the old ARCH program at the ALEC was in existence, has now expanded, but it's got a new, under new heading. So for those who look after inpatients, it's a great way, great consult service to have access to. Alrighty, I really did want to leave some time for questions. So instead, I will say to you all, I will be at the picnic most of the day. So please come and ask me questions. I think Gopi will be there, hopefully. Francois will be there. So any questions you have, happy to answer. But just very quickly, we are going to have an update in January on where things are at with our strategic plan. But you've heard me talk about a few of these initiatives. So just once again, as a reminder, this is sort of the one pager. The things that we're working on is Vijay has been really active in developing that community of practice in medical education. He's got that medical education lead, the MIRA, I think he calls it, medical education research assistant. We've got some funding that he's got a medical education working group together with trying to disseminate. And so lots happening there that he'll give update on. The community connections enhancement, this is the role that we have tasked Lenora Saxinger and our comms team with. And then that day of the Department of Medicine Community Day.
Community Health Fair.
Yeah.
November 15th.
Thank you. It's on November 15th. So there will be various, it's going to be at Snell Hall. We're opening it up to the community, and this is going to be one of our opportunities to really highlight what Department of Medicine does. As well as starting some more online presence. So I mentioned to some of you that I've spoken with already during your annual reviews, is Lenora is going to be reaching out to you to do some interviews and highlight the work that you're doing. So I will just say, put it out there. Lenora may not be happy with it, but reach out to her. If you know she is planning to do some faculty development in terms of how to present your scientific work in lay language, which is something that I think we can all learn from. So more to come on that. And then obviously you've heard about the faculty administrative restructuring. So there's those 3 days that we're going to be having events at the deck. So because one thing I hear over and over again from the faculty is you don't feel you have administrative support. So we're really trying to work on ways that you can feel supported in the work that you do in whatever way we can. So hopefully you can come to that. And then last but not least, the newest thing that we're going to be really developing this year is the engagement and collaboration culture. So stay tuned for our wellness person who's going to be helping to develop that piece. And there's going to be some events coming with that, starting with this afternoon. Of course, I think this is the third year that we're going to be having this welcome back event at Corbett Quad. There'll be food trucks there, and so please come out. The weather's beautiful today, so make sure you have your sunscreen on. And again, apologies. I really thought we cut it out this year, but still went the whole way. I'm happy to answer questions either while I'm here or at the fair, but I think we'll call it a day. Thank you, everybody.